Dehino smin yathā dehe, kaumāraṁ yauvanaṁ jarā, Tathā dehāntara-prāptir, dhīras tatra na muhyati. In this verse, Lord Krishna explains that just like our body changes from being a child to an old person, the soul moves from one body to another after death. A wise person understands this and is not troubled by these changes. This verse helps us understand that changes in our physical body are normal and that our true self, the soul, continues to live on. It encourages us to accept life's changes with wisdom and not be afraid of the natural process of life and death. Mātrā-sparśās Kaunteya, śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkha-dāḥ, Āgamāpāyino nityās, tāṁs titikṣasva Bhārata. In this verse, Lord Krishna advises Arjuna to endure the changing sensations of life, like heat and cold or happiness and sadness. These experiences are temporary and will pass, so it's important to remain calm and patient. This verse teaches us to handle life's ups and downs with patience, knowing that they are only temporary. By enduring these changes with a steady mind, we can maintain inner peace and stability. Yam hina vyathayantye purusham purusharshabha samadukha sukham dhīram somrutatvaya kalpate. In this verse, Lord Krishna explains that a person who stays calm and balanced whether they are experiencing happiness or sadness is truly wise. Such a person is not affected by temporary feelings and is ready for eternal peace. This verse teaches us that staying steady and not letting our emotions control us helps us find deeper lasting peace. By being even-tempered in all situations, we align ourselves with a more enduring, peaceful state of being. Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satah, ubhayorapi drishtontas tvanayostyatvadarshibhihi. In this verse, Lord Krishna explains that things that are temporary and changing do not truly exist forever, while the eternal, unchanging truth always remains. The wise people understand this difference. This verse teaches us to recognize that while our physical experiences and objects may change, there is a deeper eternal truth that remains constant. Understanding this helps us see beyond temporary changes and find lasting peace. Avinashitu tadvidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinashamavyyasyasya na kaschit kartumarhati. In this verse, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that the eternal, unchanging essence which is present everywhere cannot be destroyed. This essence is beyond the physical changes and cannot be harmed by anyone. This verse helps us understand that while our physical bodies and experiences may change, the true, unchanging essence within us is eternal and indestructible. Knowing this brings comfort and stability, as it reminds us of our everlasting inner truth. Antavanta ime deha nityas sharirinaha anashino aprameyasya tasmadyudhyasva Bharata. In this verse, Lord Krishna explains that our physical bodies are temporary and will eventually be destroyed, but the soul inside us is eternal and cannot be harmed. He encourages Arjuna to fight with courage because the true self or soul remains unaffected by physical changes. This verse teaches us to focus on the eternal aspect of ourselves rather than being afraid of temporary changes or losses. It helps us approach challenges with confidence, knowing that our true essence is always safe and enduring. Yainam veti hantarai yaschainam manyate hatam ubhau tau na vijanito nayam hanti na hanyate. In this verse, Lord Krishna explains that anyone who believes the soul can be killed or that it kills others is mistaken. The soul is not involved in killing or being killed. It is eternal and unchanged. This verse teaches us that the true self or soul is beyond physical actions and remains unaffected by life and death. Understanding this helps us see beyond temporary events and stay focused on our eternal nature. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. In this verse, Lord Krishna explains that the soul is eternal and never experiences birth or death. It always exists and remain unchanged even when the body dies. This verse helps us understand that our true self, the soul, is permanent and unaffected by physical changes. Knowing this can give us peace, as it assures us that our essence remains safe and continuous, no matter what happens to our bodies. Veda vinashinam nityai yainamajamavyayam katham sapurushav partha kanghatayati hantikam. In this verse, Lord Krishna asks Arjuna how anyone who understands that the soul is eternal and unchanging could think they are killing or causing death. The soul is not affected by physical actions like killing. This verse teaches that the soul is beyond physical harm, so it's impossible to kill it. This helps us understand that our true essence remains unaffected by worldly actions and changes. Vasansi jirnani yathā vihaya navani grināti naroparaṇi tathā sharirāni vihaya jirnā nyanyāni sayyāti navani dehe. In this verse, Lord Krishna explains that just as we change old clothes for new ones, the soul changes from one body to another when the old body becomes unfit. The soul itself remains the same even as it takes on a new form. This verse helps us understand that life is a continuous journey where the soul moves from one body to another. It reassures us that death is not the end but a transition, much like changing clothes. नैनं छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापो न शोषयति मारुतः. In this verse, Lord Krishna emphasizes the indestructible nature of the soul. He explains that the soul is beyond physical harm. It cannot be cut by weapons, burned by fire, soaked by water, or dried by the wind. This verse teaches us that the soul is eternal and untouchable by any physical form. It helps us realize that our true self is protected from all worldly dangers and remains unaffected by physical threats. Achedyoyam adahyoyam akledyoshyosheva cha nityās sarvagatasthānur achaloyam sanatanaha. In this verse, Lord Krishna further describes the soul's indestructible nature. He explains that the soul cannot be broken, burned, soaked, or dried. It is eternal, present everywhere, unchanging, and everlasting. This verse teaches us that the soul is beyond physical harm and remains constant through all changes. It helps us understand that our true essence is stable and eternal, giving us a sense of peace and security in the face of life's challenges.